here we are at what was going to be the cereal site near Duxford. It's the 20th of April and we thought we'd have a quick look through some of what was going to be our oilseed rape demonstration plots, because they are all here and we're going to have a look at them now while they're flowering, and then later in the season we'll visit a couple more times. So we've got here some of the recommended list varieties. We've also going to have a look in a minute at some of the candidates for future years, and we've also got some clearfield ones. The plots behind me, we've got some Acacia here which we're starting to get familiar with. Very high yielding, conventional, very stiff strawed variety. Not looking too bad at the moment. They're looking a lot better than they were before we had some rain last week, when they were looking very anemic. We've also got Aurelia, which in our own trials is performing very, very well. Again, stiff strawed, this Aurelia being a hybrid and the Acacia being a conventional. We ought to recognise the fact that we haven't got Ambassador with us. That just didn't appear in our trials this year. Again, performing very well throughout the lists. That is now on the recommended list this year, performing very well in all our own trials as well. All of them are very similar characteristics. They're all approaching 110% yield wise. All stiff strawed. Turnip resistance wise, Acacia is the only one that doesn't demonstrate the resistance at the moment. This variety here is Blazon. Don't be fooled by the fact that the plot doesn't look very good. It's been battered by the weather because it's on the end of the plot, and it unfortunately happens on trial sites now and again. Getting a really good scores for yield up north, so we're on the 105%, performing really, really well. Really good stem stiffness, and it's certainly one to consider for the up north plantings. This particular variety is Crocodile, and this one's one of the club root resistant ones. It's interesting to look at because it is actually getting decent yield, so we're in the 105, 106 region. It's performing well in the list trials and our own trials as a standalone variety. It does have weaknesses disease wise, admittedly, but if you actually look at the plants, they are looking as good as some of the other top flying varieties at the moment, so we're interested to see how that one comes on. Moving forward, Dazzler, which is an east-west variety mainly, again performing very well, resistant to turnip yellows, very high oil, so we're in the 46% oils, so again an interesting one to look at here. Temptation, and again this one, the plot is looking a little bit distressed, but performance wise fairly average. However, we are looking at very high untreated seed yields, so if we're into an untreated scenario, this one is very, very much worth looking out for. Here we've got 4 different varieties of clearfield oilseed rape that we're starting to learn more and more about. All of them are starting to perform up towards the higher end of what we're expecting from the recommended list one. This one in particular, which currently we have as a code name PT279, is absolutely outstanding in our own trial work as part of the group of clearfield varieties. So we're excited about this and we're looking forward to seeing how it behaves later on in the year. Here we're looking at our list of candidates, some of which we hope are coming forward for next year. We're very interested in these first 3. These are called Voltage, Antigua and DK Expectation. All 3 in our own trials are performing at a very high level, again very, very close to what we're seeing on the highest recommended list yields. Generally speaking, they're all showing good resistance to disease, good standing ability, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how they perform this year in what's been some challenging conditions across the country. With these varieties, we have limited data, and some of them the data hasn't been published yet, so there's not a great deal to talk about. This one, however, Black Million, is one that's coming forward, slightly tall, so it's 167 on our trials, but again, performing very, very strongly. We're in the 107 and very high oil, so we're in the 46%, so again, an interesting one to look forward to going forward.